Whether or not Naruto still had 6-path Sage Mode as an adult or in Boruto has been a topic of discussion ever since the original Naruto manga in chapter 700 when we see him as Hokage, but it's been ramped up even more since Boruto actually began, with people not fully understanding his forms and with him not showing off the abilities he had in Shippuden that most people associate with 6-path Sage Mode, like the truth-seeking orbs and the 3-headed Ashura avatar. So I'm here to clear this up in this video and really explain not only if Naruto had 6-path Sage Mode, but how to tell for yourself whether or not he's using it, and also slightly touching on if he can still access it towards the end now that he lost Kurama and got nerfed. Like usual in these videos, I have to go all the way back to Shippuden to explain 6-path Sage Mode because this is something that majority of people don't actually know or understand, and it's quite shocking to be honest. I never thought this was a problem, but if you haven't read or watched Naruto in a while, you could forget this and confuse them together, so I'll straight away clear the air on what 6-path Sage Mode looks like. Starting with just the appearance of it, if you go back to chapter 672 of the Naruto manga, when Naruto just receives his power, you could see him come out of nowhere and kick Madara's truth-seeking orb, and a very close-up panel of Naruto's face is there, and take a good look at his eyes. What you can see is him having the orange eyes with a solid horizontal line and a thinner scratch going vertical and no pigmentation around the eyes at all. This is what 6-path Sage Mode actually looks like, and any other visual change is the cause of another power-up or form stacked on top of it. If you've noticed, this actually looks very similar to Sage Mode, which is where a lot of people get confused, but Sage Mode, if you go take a look back when Naruto learns it or uses it, you can see his eyes are the same color of orange with the existing solid horizontal line, but there is no scratch like vertical one, and there is visible orange pigmentation around the eyes on his face. Next up is KCM, which is just short for Kurama Chakra Mode or QB Chakra Mode, whichever one you want, they're both the same, and this is solely responsible for the glow boy yellow shiny fit the dude has on, and that is it. So to reiterate it and have it all spoken into one sentence, pigmentation around the eyes means he's using Toad Sage Mode, no pigmentation but orange eyes with the cross type design as the pupil means he's using 6-path Sage Mode, and the shiny yellow clothing is KCM. Now that that's understood, let's jump back to Boruto to answer if Naruto ever had 6-path Sage Mode as an adult, and all it takes is to go on over to chapter 8 during the fused Momoshiki fight, and boom. Right here you get a very clear picture of Naruto's face where, what do you know, zero pigmentation around the eyes and the cross design in the pupil, signifying that yes, Naruto does indeed have 6-path Sage Mode as an adult in Boruto. Well, I guess we'll figure out if he still does have the 6-path Sage Mode after the nerf next. Actually, before that, because I know this is going to be pointed out or commented, let me also explain the two other forms Naruto was capable of that weren't as popular or long-lived as the others, and that's the rare one-time Naruto actually managed to have Kurama's chakra leak out while in Sage Mode, and when he was able to stack Sage Mode itself on top of KCM, which is what 6-path Sage Mode is more commonly confused for. Directly after the pain fight when Naruto goes and confronts Nagato himself, Kurama was so furious at what was being said that his chakra leaked out, mixing with the Sage Mode, which did actually buff Naruto, but more importantly, it changed his eyes to have the same cross-like pattern as 6-path Sage Mode. But the difference here is the eye itself turned red and the pigmentation still stayed around Naruto's eyes since he was in Toad Sage Mode. This is one that not many people actually were aware of, or if they did know it, I've seen some get confused on what exactly it was, so that's what happened in this situation, and it still has its visual differences than the topic of this video. Next up is when Naruto was able to stack Sage Mode with KCM, and like I said earlier, it's the one that most people confuse with 6-path Sage Mode, so the way to actually differentiate between the two, I've already mentioned before, and you can probably guess by now with what was said, but of course it's the pigmentation around the eyes. I'm starting to sound like a broken record at this point, but if I say it only once, people will disregard it or forget it happens, and will comment down below talking about why this and why that. If you wanted to see exactly when Naruto gets this form and the explanation on why he's able to use Kurama's chakra with the Sage Mode, you can go look at chapter 645 where Kurama himself explains the form, and as a little fun fact, he touches on the one before where his chakra leaked out when confronting Nagato, so that's a little fun tidbit of information for you guys. Anyways, does Naruto still have 6 paths Sage Mode after the nerf? This is something that a lot of people have asked, and it's actually a pretty complicated topic with no 100% stated answer within the manga. So from here on out, I'll be using what's happened and what's been shown and said in the manga about 6 paths Sage Mode and about Naruto, or anything else pertaining to the topic, to try to come up with some sort of valid or reasonable reply to this question, because unless Naruto gets out of the seal and directly says, man, now that I don't have 6 paths Sage Mode, times are tough, or says that he's going full power or all out without using 6 paths Sage Mode, then we won't have an answer that can please all of the fans. Because you know how it goes, if it's not spoon-fed to the readers, they won't pick up on it or believe it. There is one critical piece of information we need to discuss in order to actually have some sort of discussion, and that's whether or not the Biju was a requirement for 6 paths Sage Mode or not. And what I mean by this is, does Naruto need the Nine Tails as a way to tap into the form granted to him by Hagoromo? This might sound weird, but there are two giant factions equally split in the fanbase, it seems like, that believe opposite things. One side, like I alluded to earlier, believes that Naruto needs the Nine Tails because Kurama is Naruto's link to the other 8 Biju, giving him access to all 9 of the tailed beasts, which if you've read Naruto, once you have all 9 of the Biju's chakra, you get 6 paths power. And then there's the other half that says since the form was granted to him by Hagoromo, and since he can use it separately from Nine Tails chakra, it is not tied to the Biju in any way and it is completely separate. Here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you which one I personally side with, but I'll talk about both situations and how that could affect the current Naruto post-nerf. If we continue under the assumption that Naruto's 6 paths Sage Mode is a result of him having Kurama to link him to the rest of the Biju, or that Kurama is required for Naruto to access the 6 paths chakra even though he can use it in base, then the answer on whether or not he still has the chakra or is able to use it is pretty clear. I mean, he lost Kurama and no longer has that link to the rest of the Biju, so therefore he does not have access to that form anymore. And this is honestly backed up, in my opinion, by him only using regular Toad Sage Mode when going into the fight against Code to save Boruto and Kawaki. And keep in mind, this was a task Shikamaru deemed was suicide for Naruto to go into. So for something that important, I don't see why he would ever choose to use a worse form in Toad Sage Mode if he was able to use 6 paths Sage Mode the whole time. Then, if we move on and assume that the Biju and Kurama has no relevance to Naruto accessing the 6 paths Sage Mode, a few problems and weird writing happens where, like I just said earlier, why didn't Naruto use 6 paths Sage Mode when going up against Code? He spawned shadow clones to gain the chakra, so it's just extra effort for him to use a worse form with a time limit compared to that of a form that hasn't been shown to have one. Then there's the narrative issues of Sasuke losing his Rinnegan and most likely his 6 paths chakra as well. Go check out my Sasuke 6 paths video I made to learn all about that. It's kind of like this video but more concise about the future of Sasuke's power. But it wouldn't make sense for Sasuke to get a much larger and substantial nerf than Naruto did, when the whole point of it is to dial back the OG's power in order for the new gen to shine. And 6 paths Sage Mode is a lot stronger of a form than just KCM. If you are a part of those who think this assumption is correct though, you're most likely the type to claim a retcon or writing issues, so why Naruto doesn't use 6 paths Sage Mode or even have the form anymore, you can surely chalk it up to just being poor writing or something along those lines. As you can see, if you side with Kurama is needed for the form, then Naruto surely doesn't have it anymore. But if you think that the Biju have no correlation to it at all, then technically there's no reason for him to not have the form other than a retcon of how it works, or poor writing, or whatever reason you want to claim. Just in case anyone comments this, no, Naruto did not use 6 paths chakra in his fusion with Kurama in order to create Baryon mode. You can see his eyes have the Kurama signs but no cross with the 6 paths form, meaning he did use his normal base chakra to create Baryon mode. Hey, thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed your time and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I do upload weekly every Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. Become a member and join the Discord to get special perks and bonuses and all of that. So yeah, check it out. Like always, have a good day.